Welcome back to the Cap Rack. It is Thursday, August 13th. We have about 6 MLB games, 7 or 8 NBA games, and just about the same on the NHL side today as the Stanley Cup playoffs continue throughout the first round. I'm pretty sure it's game 2 for a lot of the series going on there. The NBA looking to get into the actual playoffs pretty soon. And out of the NBA restart / qualifying round, whatever you want to call it, for seeding. The MLB is more than a fifth of the way there at this point. So I'm going to kick it off with the Washington Nationals against the New York Mets at 110. The Mets are minus 138 on the money line. The total set at 9. We have Austin Voth on the mound for the Nationals and David Peterson on the mound for the Mets. Peterson has been really good for the Mets in a rotation that is striving for consistency lately. Jacob deGrom is really the only steady piece to the rotation. Michael Wacha has been up and down. Rick Porcello has been up and down. Marcus Stroman opted out of the season just a couple days ago. And we know Noah Syndergaard has not played at all this year due to injury. He's not expected to come back. So, as for today's game, I like the Mets to probably take this one. I'm not going to set it as one of my picks, but I think it's a good option here. The Nationals won game 1 in blowout fashion. I believe it was like 16-4. Yesterday, the Mets took it. They put up 10-plus runs. I don't know the exact final score, but I like the Mets to get this series at home. They have the talent to figure it out and make a run down the stretch, make the playoffs, especially with the new expanded format. But with a guy like Austin Voth on the mound, I think the Mets can definitely take this game on the coattails of David Peterson having another quality start here in the big leagues, trying to pretty much just solidify his spot in the Mets rotation for this year and going forward. So now we have the Baltimore Orioles with Thomas Eshelman on the mound. He's making his first start of his career, I believe, going up against the Phillies and Jake Arrieta. This is in Philadelphia. Arrieta's 1-1 with a 2.45 ERA. He pitched against the Braves his last time out, 6 scoreless innings, getting 6 strikeouts. For this one, the betting line is the Phillies are minus 210 on the money line as favorites. Baltimore plus 180. The total set at 9.5. I would have told you the last 2 days to take the Phillies against the Orioles, but obviously, looking back on it, that's not the way it went. But I doubt they get swept, especially with a guy with the pitching caliber of Jake Arrieta. The line is just a little too steep for me here today. It's been right around this number for the first 2 games of the series, and Baltimore has taken it as almost a 2-1 underdog. So, yeah, I'm going to leave this game alone here, leaning towards the Phillies if you want to throw them in a parlay. But, again, I stress it every single morning. Their bullpen is just not there. There's no way about it. It's just not a good bullpen, and they're blowing games late. They're not holding leads, and it's really turning into an issue for Philly. That game's at 4:05 p.m. Then we have another 4:30 game, the Tampa Bay Rays with Tyler Glasnow on the mound against the Boston Red Sox and Kyle Hart. He's a 27-year-old lefty, former, I think, 19th round draft pick, making his major league debut at 27 years old. He had a 3.5 ERA, splitting the season between AA Portland and AAA Pawtucket in the Red Sox minor league system. Glasnow hasn't looked great at the start of this season. The Rays are on a 5-game winning streak. They're 7-3 in their last 10. I like him to straighten it out here. He should probably straighten it out here against the Red Sox just because he's a good pitcher with good stuff. I'm going to definitely take Glasnow, who I believe on the Base Hit Ball 4 podcast, Glenn chose to be the Cy Young winner in the American League this year. So going off of that and Glenn's hot take prediction, I am going to back the Rays in this one at minus 148. The total is set at 9.5, but I'm definitely going to go with the Rays on this one. They're streaking, won 5 in a row, like I mentioned. And there's an old saying in sports betting where teams on a 3-game winning streak or a 3-game losing streak, you ride that until the streak is broken, because teams tend to get hot for an extended period of time once they hit that 3-game threshold. So going to ride the Rays here with Glasnow on the mound against the guy making his major league debut. Moving on, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates with Trevor Williams on the mound against Anthony DeSclafani and the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are minus 178 on the money line. The total is set at 9. Just a little bit about these guys. Trevor Williams is 0-3 with a 3.5 ERA. you should definitely have a win under your belt with a 3.5 ERA at this point, but not when you're pitching for the 3-13 Pittsburgh Pirates. He just is coming off one of the best starts of his career. Gave up 1 run on 3 hits and a walk while striking out 5 over 7 innings on August 5th against the Twins, who have an unbelievably powerful lineup here. But Anthony DeSclafani made his first start, 6 smooth, scoreless innings for the Reds with 8 strikeouts. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with this one. I'm going to stay away just because it's kind of a high line to lay here off a guy like Anthony DeSclafani, who's only made 1 start this year. He's kind of one of those middle-of-the-pack starters. And Trevor Williams is really coming off a really, really good start. So maybe he's found a groove here. And I'm just not willing to lay nearly 2-1 on the Cincinnati Reds here. Moving on, we have the Milwaukee Brewers and Brett Anderson against Yu Darvish and the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field. The Cubs are minus 188 on the money line. The total is set at 8.5. Yu Darvish is 2-1 with a 2.12 ERA. Brett Anderson 0-1 with a 5.4. Brett Anderson was scheduled to face the Cubs the second game of the season, but he got a blister and was put on the injured list. So now he's coming back, gets a shot at the Cubs. But look, I would take the Cubs in this one, but again, I'm not going to lay like minus 188 juice. The Brewers have they've been winning games as of late. I mean, the last couple of days, they're really finding their stride here. Probably within like the last, I want to say 4 games. They're just up and down, but they have the talent in the lineup to actually score runs, and they have the talent on the mound and in the bullpen. There's no overload, crazy superstars within their team other than guy like Christian Yelich, or if you want to even throw Ryan Braun in there, former superstar, kind of falling off and getting washed at this point. But yeah, I'm just not willing to lay the juice here on the Cubs at minus 190. And then moving on, I have my actual second pick for today with the San Diego Padres, Chris Paddack on the mound against Jose Urias and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers are minus 140 on the money line, Padres plus 122, and that's going to be the pick. Chris Paddack is 2-1 this year with a 3.18 ERA. Julio Urias, a young lefty for the Dodgers, is really trying to show his consistency for LA and really break into a pitching rotation that includes Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Alex Wood, Dustin May. Last night, Tony Gonsolin pitched really, really, really well. But the Padres sit at 11-8, 1 game behind the Dodgers. I think they can even it out, and both of these teams are going to start trying to catch the Colorado Rockies up at the top of the standings, which is as crazy as it sounds, but that's the case. So 2 MLB picks. We got the Rays minus 150 and the Padres at plus 122. Moving on to the NBA at 12:10 today, we have the Washington Wizards and the Boston Celtics. The Wizards are 1-point favorites in this one. Celtics really don't have much to play for seeding-wise, and obviously neither do the Wizards. They really don't have a shot to make the playoffs, but they're here in the bubble. The total for that one is set at 226. Then we have the Sacramento Kings and the LA Lakers at 140. The Lakers are 5-point favorites. The Kings, I think, are fighting for a playoff spot. The total set at 222.5. Then we have the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns at 410 today. The Suns are minus 8.5 on the spread, minus 360 on the money line, and 234 is on the total for that one. Then also at 410, we have the Bucks and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are minus 3 on the money line, total set at 226.5. I think Sam actually has the Grizzlies in his betting picks today. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that today against the Bucks. Like, the Bucks aren't going to play many of their starters, and the Grizzlies are playing for seeding. But, yep, that's on Sam's blogs for today, along with a bunch of other NHL picks, which I'll get to in a bit. Then moving on to the San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz, at 640. We have the Spurs as 8-point favorites with 231 on the game total. The New Orleans Pelicans are playing the Orlando Magic at 9-10. Magic are 4-point favorites with the total set at 226.5. Then the Portland Trailblazers are playing the Nets at 9-12. Very odd start time, but that's the case. We have the Trailblazers at minus 10 with 236.5 on the total. Sam also listed the Phoenix Suns at minus 6 The total, like I mentioned before, is pushed up to, or the spread rather, is pushed up to 8.5 against the Mavs. So I don't know what his threshold is there for betting, but stick with his blog today. I'm sure he'll update it as we go along. Moving on to the NHL, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 games today. Starting with the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Not famous necessarily, but well heard about 5 overtime game. The Lightning ended up taking that one 2 days ago. We have the Lightning at minus 180 on the money line. The total set at 5.5. That game's at 3:00 today. Then we have the Chicago Blackhawks and the Vegas Golden Knights at 5:30. The Knights are minus 210 on the money line. Total set at 6.5. Sam has the Blue Jackets today in the Lightning game. And then we have the Golden Knights in regulation at minus 135 on Sam's pick, which is a big disparity from the money line, taking them to win the game outright, whether it's in OT or in regular time. But he's got them in regulation at minus 135. Then moving on, we have the Carolina Hurricanes against the Boston Bruins. The Bruins are minus 150 on the money line. They won an overtime game either yesterday or the day before. That total set at 5.5. Sam has the Hurricanes at plus 120. Then we're rounding out the slate today with the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars. The Flames are minus 115 on the money line, Stars at minus 105, and the total is set at 5.5. Sam is on the Stars for that 10:30 start tonight. But just a little quick recap of my picks for today. I only have 2 MLB picks. I believe I'm 38-32 on the season, 2-4 on parlays, but the parlays are actually positive due to the payout. So we got the Tampa Bay Rays minus 150 with Tyler Glasnow on the mound against the Boston Red Sox. And then we have the San Diego Padres money line plus 122 with Chris Paddock on the mound against the Dodgers in Los Angeles. So that's it for today, and I will see you tomorrow morning.